Welcome to the HVAC Jerks with your hosts, Rich, Kevin, and Joe. You can email these guys at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the HVAC Jerks. My name is Rich, and I'm here with Kevin and Joe as always. And we are the hosts of this ridiculous
You're
mess.
the hostess?
No, that's not me.
Is that what he said?
In that case,
I'm the
we're gonna
hostess?
start over. I'm done. We're doing this again.
Keep going. This is great. This is great stuff. We're now with the hostess. I'm so happy you finally came out, Rich. You might want to work on your hair.
Oh man, these guys are rough. All right, so you know who we are, and we're glad you stopped by to join us today. But I also noticed actually that we're a little light on emails from the audience, so I want to encourage everybody out there to shoot us some emails at theboys@thehvacjerks.com and give us some ideas for topics or things that you guys want us to talk about, you guys and girls. I mean, we'll come up with our own topics, but we want to hear what you guys want to hear about. And tell us what you think. Tell us
anything, any feedback. Feedback is great.
So, all right. So, in the past, we started a little bit on employee training, and that was meant to be a multi-part segment, and we're going to work on part 2 today. So, Joe, what are we doing with this?
Well, their last training was employee training as the employee, which meant, employee initiative on his own. But this time we're going to look at employee training from the perspective of the employer. So what a company should be doing as the principal to his employees or her employees.
That could be a manager too.
Or a manager. This is incumbent on to make successful teamwork and having the best prepared guys going out to do your bidding. So I think it's important that employers take a listen on what we're about to say, or anybody out there who's looking to start a company. A lot of things have changed in the past 20 years where training has become a huge part of our industry.
It's a big lacking in our
industry. Well, there's still a lot of holes in it.
Big holes.
But there's so much new technology and new kinds of equipment that are introduced every year. It's mind-boggling in trying to keep up. So the companies who don't train their people to go out there, because eventually they're going to find these products in the field that's going to directly relate to their service or repairs or even installations, and if they're not up to speed, they lose.
It's amazing that there's companies that don't believe that there's any merit to training these days.
There hasn't
Kevin,
been any reason they couldn't justify the merit. A couple things would happen. One is they would train them and then they would want more money.
Yeah.
To work on equipment that the boss or the owner felt was, a furnace is a furnace, a boiler is a boiler. Like, I don't care if it's blue or green or yellow. It doesn't matter it's still a boiler is a boiler. Back to that, it's a Beckett mentality that I've talked about in the past. So we're trying to overcome that mentality with these companies and get away from that old, redundant mentality of.
Yeah, I mean, this can go back to from going to sweating to press fittings, right?
Right.
It was a big transition to go from doing sweating on pipes to doing press fittings. There was a larger commitment from the employer to have to pony up the money to buy the equipment. And then the parts themselves were expensive, but they worked through it. They went through it. Now the equipment has become so much more sophisticated.
Technology's forcing it.
Right. And I say to the people who are not taking advantage of training their people, it's directly affecting your bottom line. And I think that penny wise is dollar foolish in this instance.
Absolutely, especially today's day and age. You have to stay on top of it.
And there's a lot of manufacturers and mine specifically. We don't charge. Not only do we not charge, we put you up, we feed you.
These guys are the best.
Yeah, so work with the right companies, work out there with people, because to tell you the truth, as a manufacturer's representatives, we love training because it's less headaches for us. Yeah, our tech line stupid calls go down. Right. We still get our share, but the more that we do these trainings, and I do them all the time throughout my territory, the better off the company is, because the first thing the people do is blame the equipment, and that's not necessarily the equipment's fault.
A lot of this training stuff starts back from, or Kevin, what you're always talking about is a lot of employers not wanting to train their people.
It's a mental block.
That comes from oil companies specifically, I think, because
absolutely
they want to keep.
I don't know
seems
how it is
like
in the other parts of the country. I just know from my experience where we are in the Northeast, that seems to be the mentality.
As long as the equipment is running, then they're selling oil. So they don't care how
selling
efficient
oil,
it really
they don't
is.
care
They
Well,
don't care.
I'll go even one better. A lot of oil companies, they want bodies.
Joe, I just wanted to tell you that last week nobody called in or requested a picture of your big head.
Okay,
so I
good.
just-
This is the jerk part, okay, if anybody's wondering. But
We have 105 on Instagram.
okay. But the bottom line, what I was saying is, most oil companies want bodies, and they only have one or two real service technicians or
10%.
managers, right?
10% of you
And so
guys
what
are
they
good.
do is, a customer calls in,
It's a
they need a
heartbeat.
service call, they rush right over, they get there, the
Hey,
guy
here.
goes into that,
Shows
well,
them
let
a
me see what I
t-shirt.
can do. Then they call the service manager to walk them through the repair.
Right.
So they don't need to send their guys out for training.
They just
that's
want
just
a
silly.
short-term satisfaction to the
Correct.
customer.
So
Somebody
customer
showed up at the
feels
door.
warm and fuzzy because somebody showed
I
up.
had 35,000 customers, and we had 87 service technicians, and that is the exact mentality. Just get a body to show up. Oh, it's something I can't do. I don't have the part. We'll send somebody back. in
Right,
3
exactly.
hours. Buys time. Send that guy to the next one. We know he's not going to fix it.
Exactly.
But it
Send
just
somebody else.
satisfies
Right.
everybody until the better.
They're
guys
in the
can get
loop.
there
They
and
feel
take
like
care
they're
of it.
being taken care of. However, this does not apply for smaller companies.
Absolutely not. You do that, you're out of
No,
business.
because-
Right. And the smaller companies big, and I
Because
don't
the
mean to
owners get
interrupt.
the phone call.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
a
true.
lot of
The
times.
owners generally the ones taking the call, but they're always complaint from employers from as I recall, or still that they feel that they're paying for this training to make their employees better so that they can go out and leave and go to work
Well,
somewhere
that's
else
true,
for more
too.
money.
Training them to get a better-
And it's a legitimate fear.
It's legit because in the past 20 years, that has been true.
However,
Guys would get better. Either they would try to start
That's
their
all
own company.
short-sighted.
However, though, the employer has an opportunity, and sometimes it doesn't work, to really value that employee that they're putting the money on to say, I'm going to give you no reason to leave because I'm going to treat you so well.
Yeah,
You're
but
not going to want to leave.
We're talking the past 20 years, not
Right.
now.
Well,
not now.
Well, we're
talking
trying
the
to
past
address
20
them getting to go there now.
Correct. So what we're trying to talk about is how the perception going forward should be X, Y, and Z. I'm talking about what you're referring to is that employee's mentality 15 years ago was not to pay the guy top dollar so he doesn't leave. Right. He, like you just said, you needed a heartbeat. Hey, if you want $2 more an hour, take a hike, pal. I got another $10 an hour guy standing here. Exactly. I could dress my kid up in a shirt and send him over there to go look.
Well, let's talk about the other side of the coin, though. Why is it important for an employer to have his guys trained?
It's the technology, and companies today are the internet is so powerful. You know, for homeowners, for employees, for employers. The internet's out there, equipment's out there. People are selling boilers on Amazon. You could buy hot air furnaces on websites all over. So this is what you were talking about. The future of this business is going to go to a .com industry. You're going to see manufacturing warehouses go down. You're not going to see them as often. I don't think they're going to go away. I think that you'll see it some of them will close down. Stores will consolidate. Just like. All these other major outfits out there, Sears and Caldors and all these other
Sears
places.
is going bankrupt today.
They're all going down because of these .coms. They're so powerful. But when you're talking equipment availability, it's one thing. But when training, and I've referred to this time and time again, and I'll do it again. The automotive industry is my example. And 25, 30 years ago, everybody was a monkey. There was a grease monkey somewhere.
A shop on every corner.
Shop in every corner. Look, you made poor life decisions. You could be a mechanic. It wasn't something you aspired to. It wasn't something you looked forward to doing. But if you had to, you could make money as a mechanic. Put a pantyhose on there instead of a belt. Listen to a screwdriver. You can fix a car, right? So
boy, are we from different neighborhoods.
But today, you need a degree from NASA to work on a car. Yeah. Right? You don't need to be a busted knuckles mechanic. Right. You're a guy who needs you need a freaking IT diploma.
So the employer needs people that know or understand technology.
As I was saying, so let's look at the automotive, right? Did car companies go out and just heavily train the industry? No. Nobody was out there training their guys. They had to because the equipment forced them to do it. The technology changed. Cars changed. Emissions.
Now mechanics are going to universities.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So the industry shifted, right? And now all of a sudden people go to their bar on Friday night, hit a little happy hour, and they talk to their hey, little Johnny's going to be a mechanic. Little Susie's going to be a mechanic. And everybody's going, wow, that's great. Benefits, $120,000 a year. Good for them, man. Ford's got a great retirement plan. So they look at it completely different. as a societal, right? So we're in the midst of that right now, and companies, we're talking about .coms taking over, companies, smaller outfits that don't jump on board, that don't realize that training is important, they are going to dissipate. Right. They will go away because the technology and the demand of the industry will force you to train or get out.
In other words, this is an opportunity for the forward-looking companies to train their guys early,
train them,
so they can be out in front of the curve.
I don't think a company has a choice. They have to be forward-thinking.
They're going to have to.
And I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I think if they don't, they'll be left in the dust. They have to be going forward.
Yeah.
There's oil companies still out there in our area. Maybe this doesn't apply down south, but anywhere.
Let's break this down even further, because I think this actually relates to what I said in the other segment. There has to be an onboarding process. The employer has to know what he expects from this employee. He's going to know what the guy is capable of when he does his interview. So that's got to be a comprehensive thing so that he knows what he's getting into when he's hiring that process, right? And so he needs to know what this guy's capable of at that time so he can say, I want to be able to take this guy to the next level.
That's kind of a sore subject for me, because in the past when I was hiring guys, there were so many guys that came out of tech school that knew some theory, but they had no real.
Yeah, but you're speaking to one aspect. I'm talking about if you're hiring a guy, it's not necessarily somebody coming from a university or a college or a technical institute. Right. It may be coming from another company, coming to work and saying, here's my qualifications. This is what I've done. This is my experience. Okay, Mr. Jones, this is how Company X does business. We have a process. We're going to train you to do things our way. We're going to show you how to do our paperwork. We're going to show you exactly what we expect of you.
Yeah, okay,
they need to have an onboarding process.
That's the owner of the company recognizing or having the time too. We're talking if a bigger outfits, they have that time.
Yeah, but you know what? It's
X amount of middle.
But
people.
this kind of work can be delegated, right? You have internal staff that does that kind of stuff.
But there has to be a process,
right? But so for the smaller companies that are out there that maybe have one or two guys working for them, and the owners out
you are the internal staff.
Well, right, you are everything.
Right.
So it's hard for them. Maybe they don't have the time to do it. So keep that in mind moving forward, small guys. As you grow. Joe's right. You're going to have to build this program in your head. You're going to have to come up with this process like anything else. And, look, if you're going to troubleshoot anything, you need to understand the process, right? So that goes for business too. You have to understand how this is going to work. You have to establish a process, a list of expectations, put it in play, delegate it from there.
Right.
And if you're not going to do that, you need to be ready to pay. If you have, then you're going to have to hire the guys.
Speaking from a manufacturer's point of view, and all you companies that are out there that work and put specific types of equipment in, every one of these manufacturers or manufacturers reps will come and train people at your facility so that you're not paying somebody to travel, you're not paying gas or vans or...
Make sure it's not new product training.
No, and you have to specify, we're working on your product. This is what we expect. You as a company can say, this is what I want. Right. They may also say, listen, we can't do it on an individual basis, but this is our next seminar. This is where we're going to be training next.
Hey, business guys,
please.
These major companies put money
We spend thousands of dollars a year
on the
training people.
Just for training all your suppliers.
Take advantage.
If you're dealing with Ari Michael Company, you're dealing with, RAL, or you're dealing with a Win Company, they have money set aside, allotted in an account just to pay for training.
Absolutely.
So if there's a Fujitsu,
and the manufacturers kick in as well.
Yeah, and so, you got to call your sales guy and say, hey, man, I got to get my guy into something. I want a factory training. Even if it's 2 days, they could waive the fee. I know these, and this is another turnoff for me, is when manufacturers are charging me money to learn about the product they want me to sell. So I have a problem swallowing that pill. I don't like it. I think it's bullshit. But you can talk to your suppliers. As Rich can contest to, and Joe, these guys have worked for, these big corporations that have multiple stores and whatnot. So, they'll tell you that there's big chunks of money sitting over there, just like, oh shit money, there's training money.
Yeah, and they get that money from the manufacturers too.
They get it from the manufacturers, and they set it aside. Like, say, hey, I don't know.
It's called co-op funds.
USG group or whatever says, you know, I'm going to sell, you know, Amana air handlers or Goodman product or something. And, you know, for me to do that, I need $100,000 on the side just so it's like a slush fund. So I get some, you know, a unit that got banged up, whatever. But talk to your sales rep. There's money there. Get it. Take advantage of that money.
And I could tell you for the most part, today's day and age, most manufacturers won't charge. Yeah. They won't charge for training.
I refuse to pay for it.
I kind of understand. I really do.
I'm talking from a business point. You know, right. So as a business owner, I get it, but I fight for it.
Right.
Like, you want me to sell your product? You got to train me, man.
Right. Right.
Train my guys. Like, why would you not want?
And you have to understand, it's in our best interest to do so because we have a lot less.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to hear it. You know, they want to charge me $800 to go to a 2-day class. You know, really? And you charge me top dollar, you don't help me anywhere
There
else.
Is some other folks that still charge out there. But, you know, we look at things.
Not even that good.
Right. We look at it as a progressive thing. It's something that's important to us because our whole foundation is on technology. Our whole foundation is on learning. So it's in our best interest to have the most qualified people handling our products. So we don't have comebacks. We don't have those nuisance calls that destroy actual funds and stuff that we can put towards learning.
Helps me get into the hotline number a lot quicker too.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, those poor guys get, you know,
that's true.
When you call, how frustrating is that, right? When you call up,
you
got to
wait in line for half an hour or an hour.
Talking to you like you're an idiot. You know, okay, well, let's go back up and turn the power off. Like, I already did that, pal. I'm not going back up there. You know, you're not talking to one of these knuckleheads. You know, and you got
but to their defense,
I understand that.
It's a knucklehead call most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go back to the manager and the owner's point of view as far as, you know, really basic. I mean, what's their motivation to come into work every day anyway? It's making money, and the more trained their technicians are,
I can even argue that point.
Callbacks you're going to have.
I can even argue that point.
Not only that's your thing, though.
But it's to your point. It is to make money. No. I agree 100%. It is to make money, but it's also to minimize a loss. And that's what they're not looking at it when they're stopping training. So if they're all about making money, then train your guys. Train your guys, be more efficient.
I keep going back to the most basic stuff. I have got how many condensate leaks do you see from guys that did something really stupid?
Gravity.
They don't understand gravity. I had a guy once that had this. He had a condensate line in an attic, and it went about 20 feet, and it was pitched about, a quarter inch per foot or so. And at the end, right before it went down, it had to go over a beam. And the guy said, so it had to go up 3 inches. So I said, what are you thinking? He said, well, I figured the condensate would get enough speed down the hill, and then it would go over the beam.
Did you calculate the speed?
Well, there's no account for the degree of knuckleheads that are out there, too.
I'm not going to bang the table. I'm sorry.
Please don't.
Be a jerk, but don't be knucklehead.
Yeah.
You know, like, get better, guys.
There's some things you just can't teach. It's just the way it is. So there's a lot of stupid out there.
There's a lot of stupid. We can't fix it, but we could try. And this goes back to, like, how many guys are out there busting knuckles in their garage?
You can reduce callbacks by the right training.
How many mechanics do you know out there that are just working out of their garage like they did 25 years ago?
If you install an AC, right.
You break down on the side of the road, who you call AAA, someone told you to bring you to a garage, the guy's making top dollar, he's got some kind of badass machine he's going to hook up and tell you 97 things that are wrong with your car.
Right.
Because you can't do that on the side of the road.
Here's a simple question. You're a business owner, and you have experience in this. You don't want to spend money on training somebody, right? You think it's something that it's inherent to you to get paid by somebody who's selling the product to you. And I agree to you to that point. But I'm speaking to the people who don't want to train their guys at all. How much money are you paying to go back to a job on a callback?
I was just going to say that. You spend 5 days installing a job, and then you got to go back 3 times.
Yeah, your profit's going out the window.
Understood. I agree 100%. That's why I'm for training my.
Do you understand? Because we're trying to teach you now.
Yeah. Look, I'm always willing to learn.
Remember when we first met? You said, "I don't need you.
I don't need a salesman.
I don't need a salesman. What am I doing here?"
I don't need a salesman.
And from that, it became a dependent.
I needed an assistant. That's what answer my phone.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
No. So yeah, I mean, look, guys that are running businesses, if you're out there and you're listening to this, trust me, it's worth it. You want your guys to be better. Don't fear that they're going to hop up and run to another company.
They're going to do that whether you're training them or not.
Right.
What about customer complaints?
Oh, look, all the benefits. And there's customer complaints. You have a happier employee. right? You have the guy
Absolutely.
that's more confident in what he's doing.
And then
He
there's
feels
happy
like
hour.
He's got support, right? Your employee now feels like you got his back.
He feels like you care about
Like, you
him,
care
and he's
about
more
him,
likely
and
to
he's
stay.
part of the team, you know. So your managers out there, same thing, guys. Like, this builds camaraderie. It does.
And don't be afraid to have an expectation of that training.
Yeah, no,
Don't be
like, hey,
afraid
man.
to tell your employee, look, I'm sending you there because I have a lot of faith in you, but I also expect something from you
I want
for
to see
this.
it. I want to
Yeah.
see you tear that thing down. put it
Don't
back
be afraid.
together.
You're giving them something, expect something.
No, so, you know, have expectations, have demands, but you have to do it. The technology is too great. It's too fast. We have to stay on top of it. The benefits in it will reap rewards because this industry, it's not happening right now, but it will be changing. And we're going to be in the automotive situation where your mechanics are making $100,000+ a year. They're highly trained. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's just where this is
Well,
going.
I
That's
can
where
tell
this
you what
industry's
goes
going.
on with my company overseas. There are you may be a contractor installing them, but once you install them, you give up possession. It goes back to the factory techs to go out and do the service and repair on all the
But
units
if
you
you don't
install
install them correctly, you don't install them
for that company.
Yeah, ever
Exactly.
again. So guess what?
Yeah,
have
you're
to be
right.
the best
We
you
are
can.
leading towards that. We are
That's what
leading
we're doing.
towards
It's going to be there.
the
It's-
dealers of
Yeah,
the heating world.
We're being forced to do it. You know, so you as an employee has to be the best that you can be. And employers, you have to put down that old mentality, think outside the box, accept these changes. It's happening. A lot of the stuff we're talking about, and a lot of this piss poor attitude with these old timers is oil companies, and you know, a lot of our listeners that are down south and out west, they don't deal with oil companies like we do here. So I can't imagine it's the same way.
They are starting to change, though. They are getting into air conditioning and other parts of the
Because,
business.
you know, up
So
here, you know, service departments were a write-off. They weren't meant to.
Right.
You know, they were never designed to generate income. You know, so when I threatened, you know, it wasn't even a threat, but when I said I was going out on my own, they just kind of giggled like, hey, okay, you know, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no money in service. That's their attitude. There's
Right.
no money in service.
of course there is.
It's a lost leader for them because they make so much money on the oil. God bless them. You know, if that's what they want to
they're
do.
charging 50 cents more a gallon. They're padding their price. You know, they give people, homeowners were trained over the last 30
I have no problem with what they're doing. I have no problem with them making money and exploiting. I think exploiting is the wrong word. I think
that's
they're
exactly what they're doing.
Well, whatever it is, it's supply and
Price
demand,
gouging.
right? It's supply and demand. It's not.
The industry's changed. How many people now pay attention to their oil bills or their gas bills or their
Yes,
electric
but that's
bills?
where competition comes in, right?
Right, but what-
So then you go to that cash guy and say, "I'm not going to pay your ransom. I'm going to go to a cash guy."
Right.
And
But how many people are paying attention to their cost of
people who have
Right,
people who have tight
everybody.
budgets will.
No, everybody
Right.
has because the price of, when we had the oil spike and the gas spike and all the prices were going up and people are like, oh, you got to get electric cars, you got to do this, I need 57 gallons to the mile because gas is $4 a gallon.
Right.
Heating oil was $4 or $5 a gallon, right? So people all of a sudden were paying attention, like, well, geez, you know, there's got to be a cheaper place. There's got to be another spot that I can find. So all of a sudden people started paying attention, like, holy crap. I'm paying all this extra money. What do you mean it's $1.80 cheaper somewhere else?
Hey, listen.
$1.80 a gallon.
Necessity is the mother of invention,
Well,
right?
all those years that these oil companies have been gouging their customers, and they still show homage to them, and there's loyalty. It drives me crazy. Drives me
let's
crazy.
not get too far off the oil,
All right, so
the
back
training
to the training,
part.
but
But
the benefits of the training are big. There's enormous.
Well, how about this? How about company pride? What companies, service companies out there where the guys are bad mouthing their own companies all the time because they hate who they work for and they have no respect for the people they work for. I think it's important I think it's really important to have your employees.
Well, that right there is management. That's ownership. That is bad camaraderie. That's bad team play. They're not feeling part of the team.
Training
They feel
is right in there.
disconnected. So there's a lot to that. That's not just training, but that's also
No, of
how
course
you're
it's
running
not
your
just
outfit
training. Of course not.
and how you treat your employees.
But that's part of it.
You know, like if you're a jackass and you're beating the hell out of your guys and you talk to them like crap and you yell at them and you know you don't respect them and you don't give them the time that they need off and you know, hey, my dog's sick.
There's a lot under that umbrella. Yes,
to that. So guys that are going in and talk shit about the guy that was in there before that, that's bad business. That's bad
Absolutely.
business, and I will tell you right now, guys, that if you're doing that, you will not have a job in your industry in your area. You will have to eventually move out of your area.
from the employer's point of view, they can create a lot of goodwill and good faith to their employees
Doesn't take
by
much,
sending
man.
them to some training and giving them respect
It doesn't
to
take
train
much.
them.
Yeah, I mean, look, putting them through training is a sign of respect, a sign of investment.
Yeah.
You know, I got your back, man. Like,
Yeah,
You're part of the team.
And for the sake of repeating myself, right?
I want you to be better, man. Like,
Again, for the sake of repeating myself, this goes back to the onboarding process. They need to know where they stand. They need to get that company value up front. They need to know, listen, you're coming to work for me. This is the level of quality. This is the level of excellence this company carries. They need to understand you're not coming into a fly-by-night operation. You're coming into my company. You're a representative and ambassador of my company.
I'm growing my company every day.
So that's the first and foremost.
You're getting in a ground level.
Companies.
You were starting off at 2 guys. I had 2 employees, 3 employees. Now we're up to 5 employees. You guys are getting in at ground level. We keep doing this for the next 15, 20 years. You guys would be aces at the end of the day.
Or in top senior management.
Top senior management. That's what I'm saying. You're going to move and grow with us, and I'm going to take care of you. You know why? Because I respect loyalty. I appreciate it. I'm a loyal guy. I don't like to jump around. So I want my guys to be loyal. I want my guys to feel safe. You know, I don't go home and go count my money like Scrooge McDuck and swim in it, and do a Mr. Krabs.
You do, don't you?
But,
I do.
So I literally worry about, like, I had a guy come work for me. He didn't even have heat in his house. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? We're in the middle of winter. You don't have heat? And he's like, well, my furnace broke, and well, you got to.
I have no money.
I work for a heating company, bro. Like, so I went out and bought him a furnace. I didn't ask for any money. I don't want any money. I want my man to be comfortable so he can come into work the next day.
Yeah, you're far and few between, but
look,
that says a great deal about you and your company, right?
Look, these guys are loyal.
That goes to your reputation.
They're out there hustling, and they bust their ass, and they know that.
Of course,
look, not every day is a good day. I have my bad days. I yell, I get grumpy, I'm pissy, I'm a mean old.
You?
But all this goes to the company reputation also. And I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of competition out there, and you need to figure out ways every day to try to differentiate yourself from the other guy. And, why should they call you instead of the guy down the block?
It's not about a pretty shirt and a nice pair of pants.
No, man, it
does help,
a big
though.
part of it.
Pretty shirt and nice pair of pants does help. That's that first front.
So employees are key. They need to be trained. Employers, don't be scared. Look, you're talking less callbacks. You're talking better confidence level with your customers.
Company pride.
You're talking company pride, company confidence, camaraderie.
Employee retention.
Build the team.
Right.
It's a team. It sounds corny and cliche, but damn, it's true, man. These guys want to feel part of something.
And also, I think it's important for the customer to understand, the employer to understand, you got to lead by example. You got to show them how you want it done, the way things are acceptable and not acceptable. You got to be the guy setting the bar. You have to be the one to say, this is the way it is. I take no substitute.
Fewer mistakes, less material.
Less material, fewer mistakes, more cost-effective, more profit.
It's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
You can't get around
now,
it.
I'm going to throw this out there. Where do you find good training? Because this is a big problem for me. There's BOCES programs out there.
It's tough for a small guy like you to put your own training into place because you just don't have enough people and enough time and money and space and everything
Well,
else.
this is where. Wait a minute. I got your answer. No, I have your answer. I have your answer.
Apex Techs.
No, but I have your answer. Your supply houses have these answers. They have companies who are supporting the products that they sell, who do these kinds of trainings.
New product seminar.
No, not necessarily. They have hydronics 101 training
Well, Kevin's going to say that that's too often a sales pitch.
It's not. It's not.
Sometimes it is.
Most of the time
But not when they're teaching hydronics 101. They're going to say, they're going to talk about their product, rightly so. They can plug their product. If we're talking about ours,
they can't have the class in January.
Exactly.
I'm going to go and say, I'm going to talk about me again for a minute now. Because
it's always about you.
I started doing these trainings, and as soon as I started training on HVAC basics, guys are asking me for low voltage training because nobody ever showed them. And I might have said this in one of the other podcasts.
Hey, I went to school for that.
They don't even know.
Yeah.
But they don't even know what the symbols on the multimeter mean. You need to train these guys on the basics.
Exactly.
I'll give you something. Years ago, I went to an HVAC electrical class, and none of it had to do with equipment. None of it had to do what you find in the field. I was like, I came here to learn how to work on equipment in the field, not the basic of electrical theory. I mean, I understand that's a big part of it, but let's move on from there. I'm not looking at to make resistors and
employers. If your guys can't put in a Ribley relay and don't know what to do with it, then that's a problem, man. You need to.
It's probably the easiest thing to put in from somebody who has experience. But
there, you just said it in a nutshell. It's the easiest thing to put in from somebody who has experience.
Right.
That's indicative of you to teach your guys how to do that.
There's so many holes in training.
So, guys, I can't emphasize it enough. Look, it's going to build your reputation. It's going to benefit you. You're going to get better reviews. People are going to talk. They're going to say, "Oh man, I had this guy Johnny over. What a great representation of his company. He came in. He was super educated. He was smart. He knew what he was talking about. He spoke with confidence." That's what you want.
Right.
That's what you want.
Exactly.
These guys are your front row, man. They're your front row. They're out there dealing with the customers. They're your hands-on down in the ditches, man. These guys are.
At the end of the day, the
hustling.
tech is the gospel.
The tech is the man. He's selling
He's
the
your whole
replacement
company.
job.
Yeah.
He's bringing your sales guy in. He's the guy walking in the door.
Respect
He
him.
is your front man.
Let him know you respect
He's your
him.
window.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
He's your window, right? So what do you got in your window? Right? Keep your minds open. Don't get caught in this old school.
Yeah, we're not talking red light districts here, okay?
Yeah, well, keep your mind
Yeah.
open to training.
Where
and
does your
don't
tool
be
go?
afraid of it.
All
Take
right.
advantage of it. Train these guys. Make them the best they can be. Guys, be the best you can be.
All right, we're just about out of time again. So, again, we hope you enjoyed this week's show. And if you did, please tell your friends all about us and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you heard. Remember, you can visit us at the HVACJerks.com, and if you have any questions or comments, we'll try to picture at Joe's big head again.
And congratulate
You gotta-
Rich, too, for coming out, as he said in the beginning of the episode.
Let's go, Jerks.
You can email us at the HVACJerks.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And Rich, I just want to
have a great
thank you
week.
for being a great hostess.
You got cotton balls in your
We'll
mouth.
never live that one down. Take care.
You guys are jerks.
Follow the HVAC Jerks on Facebook and Instagram.